Welcome to session 50. The topic of today's discussion is electrophoresis. So, in this, we'll be discussing about agarose gel electrophoresis, polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, and SDS page. So, electrophoresis is one of the most popular and widely used technique in molecular biology, biochemistry, and biotechnology. So, definition: electrophoresis is nothing but it is the migration of the charged particles or molecules under the influence of electricity or electric current. It is nothing but the movement or migration of the charged particles or molecules under the influence of electric current. Literally means transport by electricity. So we can just focus on this definition. Principle: any charged ion or molecule migrates when placed in an electric field. The rate of migration depends on its charge. It depends on its charge, its size, shape, and the applied electric current. So it means electrophoresis is widely used for the separation of charged particles. The particle should be charged. Then only electrophoresis is possible. If the particles are not charged, then it may not respond to the electrophoretic current. So the gel here, so first we'll discuss about agarose gel electrophoresis. So agarose is a linear polysaccharide, average mass of about 12,000, made up of basic repeats of agarobaiose, which comprises alternating unit of galactose and 3,6 anhydrous galactose. Agarose is used usually at a concentration of between 1% and 3%. And let me tell you, agarose gel electrophoresis is widely used for the separation or resolving of the nucleic acids. So agarose gel is used for nucleic acids separation. And in contrast, the page or SDS page is used for the separation of proteins, right? Agarose gels are formed by suspending dry agarose powder in aqueous buffer. Then boil the mixture until a clear solution forms. This is poured and allowed to cool to room temperature to form a gel, semi-solid gel or a rigid gel. That depends on the percentage of agarose we are using. The less percent you use, the porosity of the gel will be more. The more percentage of agarose we use, the porosity of the gel is going to decrease. The gelling properties are attributed to both inter and intramolecular hydrogen bonding within and between the long agarose chains. The cross-linked structures gives the gel good anti-conventional properties. The pore size in the gel is controlled by the initial concentration of the agarose. Large pores are formed from low concentration and smaller pore size are formed from the higher concentrations. So this is what we have discussed. So these are the steps in the gel electrophoresis. First thing what we have to do is an agarose and buffer solution is poured into a plastic tray. A comb is placed into the tray on one end so that the gel is casted and the wells are formed. The second step is the gel polymerizes, the agarose polymerizes as gel as it cools down. The comb is removed from the gel to form wells where we can load the samples. The DNA samples colored with a tracking dye are pipetted into the wells. They are loaded into the wells, and then the tray is placed into a chamber that generates electric current through the gel. The negative electrode is placed on the side nearest to the samples. The positive electrode is placed on the other side. So we have to always remember that. So the nucleic acids are negatively charged. So the DNA is negatively charged. So it has to be placed near the negative terminal, so that when electric current is applied, so this negative charged ions try to move towards the positive end. Okay, so this is possible. If we place it near the positive end, then there will be no movement of the DNA. So this is we have to always remember. So the migration, the direction of migration will be always from negative to positive, right? Then DNA has negative charge and will be drawn to the positive electrode. Smaller DNA molecules will be able to move faster through the gel. So here the migration of the DNA fragments depends upon the size, charge and mass. The DNA fragments that are very small, they run very fast. So these are the molecules that are, these are the fragments of DNA that are very small. So larger fragments will be in the last, they move very slowly. So larger fragments move slowly, smaller fragments move fastly because of the because they have the less mass. Okay, and they can easily pass through the gel. One well uh, called a DNA ladder will contain DNA fragments of known sizes. This ladder is used to determine the size of the other samples. So usually we first well we run with a ladder, DNA ladder or a marker DNA, in which the fragments have specific mass. Say if we are getting a band here, it means it is 250 base pairs. If we are getting a band here, it is somewhere between 250 and 500 base pairs. So this is 250 and 500 base pair. Similarly, if we are having a fragment here, it corresponds to 1500 base pair. So like that, the first well, if we have the markers available, we can run it with the help of a DNA ladder. And so this is our test sample. So we don't know the mass here, so we can compare this with the ladder and we can identify how many nitrogen bases it is containing. So the gel looks like this after everything the process is over. So these are the steps in gel electrophoresis. Yeah, this is again the same thing. It can be visualized on UV. It can be visualized on UV transilluminator. So we have in the lab UV transilluminator. You can visualize this gel, and it can also be documented in the gel doc, right? Yeah, this is how the gels get visualized. So these are the fragments which have migrated from here to here. So this is also the migration, this is also the migration. So here the bands are very nice. Applications of agarose gel electrophoresis: it is routinely used for separating proteins, used for, so this is wrong, this is routinely used for separating DNA or RNA, so not proteins. Okay, so it is correct, DNA or protein. So we use actually polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis for proteins. Okay, estimation of the size of the DNA molecules, analysis of PCR products, suppression of restricted genomic DNA prior to southern analysis, uh, okay, or to prior to northern blotting analysis. The agarose gel electrophoresis is widely employed to estimate the size of the DNA fragments after digestion with restriction enzymes. In restriction mapping of the clone DNA, it is also commonly used to resolve circular DNA with different supercoiling topology to resolve fragments that differ due to DNA synthesis. In addition, providing an excellent medium for DNA fragment size analysis, agarose gel also allows purification of DNA fragments. Since purification of DNA fragment size separated in an agarose gel is necessary for a number of molecular techniques such as cloning, vital to be able to purify fragments of interest from the gel. The gel is poured, does not denature the sample. The samples can also be recovered. So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of agarose gel electrophoresis. Okay, now let us move on to another important technique that is called as polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. So this is called as a vertical electrophoresis. In contrast, agarose gel electrophoresis is called as horizontal electrophoresis, horizontal electrophoresis, because the process of migration is horizontal. So here it is vertical electrophoresis, and it is widely used for the separation of proteins. It is used for the separation of proteins, and it is a vertical electrophoresis, right? Okay. So in this technique, we are using a different type of gel called as polyacrylamide gel. So when we load the protein sample, the protein, the gel is porous, and the proteins get resolved or they get separated. So let us see this in detail. Okay. So now let us look into the principle. So proteins, we can just see proteins with two subunits A and B joined by a disulfide linkage. And here we are having single subunit protein. What we do is we heat with SDS, so which is a detergent, sodium dodecyl sulfate, and beta mercapto ethanol. So what it will happen is, it will see this SDS will break this uh, disulfide bridges. Okay, it will break the disulfide bridges, and this mercaptoethanol, it will provide uniformly negative charged. So it will provide negative charge to the overall protein molecule. It will provide an overall negative charge on the surface of the protein molecule, right? And then what we do, we load the sample into the well. So this is the place where we are going to load our sample. So once we are loading the sample, so this is having two subunits. So A is one subunit and B is one subunit. Here we are having only one subunit, that is a C subunit. So when we load this, it gets resolved into two separate bands. So one is B band and another one is A band. Here we are having only one protein, hence we get only one band. Okay. And so this is how, so this is the buffer reservoir. We are having here one buffer reservoir, and we are having here one buffer reservoir, and the gel is in between the upper reservoir and the lower reservoir. Actually the gel is present in between two glass plates, two plates. Okay. So the SDS is an anionic detergent. In SDS page, the use of sodium D-dosyl sulfate and polyacrylamide gel largely eliminates the influence of the structure and charge, and the proteins are separated solely based on polypeptide chain length. So this is all about the SDS. So what all things we require? We require molecular weight markers, protein samples, staining, destaining solution, running buffer, loading buffer, isopropanol, distilled water, acrylamide solution for resolving and stacking gels. Okay. And now we need to look into the instrumentation. So here it has been illustrated very nicely. You need to just follow this. So I said you that this gel is verticular, not horizontal. It is not horizontal. So this gel is prepared in two strengths. So one is we have a stacking gel, and the other one we call it as a resolving gel, right? So in stacking gel, if you look at the percentage of acrylamide, it is around 5%. When we come to running gel or resolving gel, the percentage of uh, acrylamide is 12%, right? So here the porosity of the gel will be little bit wider. So here the pores are too small. Okay. Okay. So here what we do is we take two sheets of glass plates, which are SDS plates, and then in between we seal these plates in the bottom. Okay. One slide is placed over another slide, and a spacer is being placed, spacers are being placed, okay, to make the combs, and then the gel is poured. So first we have to pour the resolving gel, and later around 70% of your plate will be with the resolving gel, and then remaining 20 to 30% will be stacking gel, right? So after the gels are poured, we have to place the comb, and then we have to allow it to settle for some time, then remove the what remove the comb. The wells are formed. Then we have to load the plates. See, can you see the uh, inner anatomy of this SDS page instrument? See, this is glass plate 1 and this is glass plate 2. In between, we are going to place a plastic uh, comb like thing, a spacer. We call it as an spacer. The spacer is placed in between. So this is the spacer. It is placed in between the two glass plates. See, the spacer is still here only. It will be there till here only. Remaining, it will be cavity. It will be a space. Okay, in this space we are pouring the running gel or the separating gel and the stacking gel. Okay, so and after this we place the comb, right? We place the comb. After the gels get settled, okay, it gets solidified, the gel is formed, we remove this comb so that the wells are being formed, so after the wells are being formed, we have to load our sample. Okay, so we load our samples in these wells, right? We load our samples in these wells. After loading, small proteins will move faster and large proteins will move slowly, right? Okay, then we have to remove the gel from this. After the separation is over, we have to remove the gel carefully, and we have to develop the gel because the proteins are colorless. We have to use a specific stain called as Comasi Brilliant Blue, or we can also use, there is another type of staining called a silver staining. So we can use any kind of uh, stain to stain the proteins. We can also run a marker if we have a marker, so that we can match or we can expect the size of our protein, right? We have to do it like that. So this is the resolved bands of the proteins. So from this we can identify. So if a band is forming here, we can tell it is around 25 kilodalton. So if a band is forming here, we can tell somewhere in between 66 and 45. So it can be somewhere around 50 kilodalton. So this band may be somewhere around 50 kilodalton. So this is how the proteins are being separated. So page is widely used to measure the molecular weight, peptide mapping, estimation of protein size, estimation of protein purity, protein quantification, monitoring protein integrity. So all these things we can study the properties of protein by using polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, and these are my references. So thank you for your patient listening. Thank you one and all.